Layer masks are a truly significant feature in Photoshop. It's a way that you can hide parts of an image that you don't want to see and reveal the parts that you do want to see. But it's non-destructive. It's not like erasing where those are permanently deleted pixels. Those pixels are simply hidden out of the way and you can return them back if you want to. Layer masks can also have transparency and some feathering effects, so you can really create an interesting and effective selection. And it's stored with the file, so you can always return back to those layer masks days later and adjust them. I want to make a quick note about layer masks and clipping masks, because people sometimes will distinguish them or not separate them correctly. And a layer mask is really when you want to focus on the pixels, the content of that image itself, where you're trying to show or reveal certain elements of an image. Whereas a clipping mask is more about the shape, and you're trying to focus on the shape or the outline or the frame of the image. So we're going to start with layer masks and see how to build them and how to apply them and how to change them as well. This file has horses with a layer mask on it already, and if I were to go ahead and make a few changes by right-clicking, I could choose to disable the layer mask, and you could see what those horses really look like. Actually, there's a little bit more going on with that because there's some changes. We've made some changes to this document from the beginning, so they're not quite as mangy as that. But I'm going to go ahead and right-click and choose Enable. Incidentally, if I hold down my Shift key, I can turn that on and off as well. I'm going to go ahead and enable it. Now, you can also use the Alt key and click on a layer mask, and it shows you the layer as if it were a channel and just the masking part. And the white part is what's going to be revealed. It's acting like a selection, and the black part is what's hidden. And when you're changing the layer mask, you want to make sure that you're in the right thumbnail. So if I'm clicking on the thumbnail here of the image, I'm actually, any painting that I might be doing would be painting on the image itself, on those horses. Let's go ahead and undo that. But if I click on the thumbnail, which is like alt-clicking, I'm getting just the layer area. Let me reset the colors here. And I can paint, and when I paint, it's choosing what is revealed and what's hidden. And white is going to reveal pixels. Let's go ahead and undo that. And if I switch, I'm just going to use my X to switch the colors, black and white. Black is going to hide those pixels. And again, if I use my Alt-click, I can really see it. Let's go ahead and just zoom in a little bit. I can really see the detail. And the nice thing, because we're using a brush, the brush can be big or small. It can have different hardness or softness, so I can create basically a feather effect. If it's very soft, that's 0% hardness. So if it's really hard, it's going to have a strong, sharp edge. You can also paint, instead of black and white, you can come over and paint in shades of gray. And if you're painting in shades of gray, it's a little bit like painting in opacity, because parts of it are going to get revealed and parts of it won't. And let's go ahead and Alt-click on that again to see, and you can see how there's some opacity that's revealing into it. Now, the reason I might show the actual layer is so I can see the bounds. Let's go ahead and undo here. But most of the time, I'm actually painting where I can see the image pixels and the layer, and I make sure that my thumbnail here, the layer thumbnail, is what's active. And with the gray color, I can paint some opacity, and it's starting to display information. But the nice, beautiful thing is that I didn't actually delete or hide any of those pixels permanently. They're always something I can return back just by repainting that information in. Okay, so let's explore this with something with these pumpkins. And the layers is a great way to create a vignette effect. I'm going to go ahead and make a selection around this pumpkin, just kind of move it here. And you can make your selection really basic or a lot more complex, like we did with the horses there. And down the bottom, you've got some different tools. There we go. And one of the tools is to create a layer mask, and it looks a little bit like a camera, or maybe more like a box with a hole cut through it. But there's your layer mask. And again, you can see it visually, and I can always change it. Well, one thing I can do is I can change it with my brush tools and just get my black and white or my shades of gray and start painting there with my brush tools. You can also, when you have this selected, is you can refine the mask. And it opens up this refine edge command, which is similar to working with selections, but it's focusing just on the mask itself. This is a really easy way to add a feather effect to that mask. I could expand it or contract it very easily as well. I could even, if I wanted to make some changes, if I had some areas in there that were a little bit more wispy, I could start adding some interesting effects to that as well. And it's going to start blending based on the pixel information that's in there. Let's go ahead and choose OK. And there's the mask effect that I have from creating it. And this is a great way to create those vignette effects, and I could even then move this into another element. Maybe it doesn't really fit in our tropical scene here, but you get the idea. Let's go back here to pumpkins. With the pumpkins, and you have this mask, you saw that you can disable the mask, but you can also delete the mask, and you can just pull it down onto the trash can, and that's a way to delete it. And when you try to delete it, you're going to get this question, do you want to apply the mask? Let's go ahead and click on that, even though ultimately no. But if we apply the mask, it actually will permanently delete the pixels that were hidden. I'm going to go ahead and undo. I'm going to go drag that back down again. Instead of applying it, you could simply delete the mask. And by deleting the mask, it just removes the mask, and all those pixels are now available. And of course, the other option was cancel, and the cancel option would simply say, oh, I didn't want to change that mask at all. Okay, so now here's another picture, and working with a mask can be great because there's so much detail. It's not quite a simple vignette. And so I could create a quick selection. I'll use my quick selection tool to do that. And just create a quick selection. And I don't have to worry too much about her hair because the refine edge feature makes it really easy to get hair, or at least comparatively a lot easier than what we had in the past. It replaces the extract command that we used in the past. Anyway, I'm just going to get some of that information. I'm going to create a mask with that, and it automatically masks her hair. I can see this in the background here. And I'm going to go make sure this is selected, and I can right-click and refine mask. Now, whenever I see smart radius, I like the idea of something smart that's good. It tends to blend or blur out some of those features, and so I'm going to take advantage of that as well. And I'm going to go ahead and use this tool, the smart radius. Maybe bump it up just a little bit. And we'll go ahead and start painting. And what this does is it helps pick out her hair. And as I'm picking out her hair, it's actually figuring out where the color changes, and it's creating that effect. Now remember, there's already something in the background here, but that's okay. And it's actually kind of nice because as it's blending, I can start seeing what's going on. I can even change, so the view is on the white, but if I want to see it on layers, I can actually see how it's blending in with the background of that iceberg. Now, if I go a little too far, I can actually come in and erase some refinements. And erasing refinements actually means that it's going to erase the mask, and so I can end up seeing this information. I'll click on OK. Give it a moment. And it's adding to that mask area. But again, the beautiful thing, if I go ahead and Alt-click, is it's still actually just one nice feature with those masks. It's just all together, and I can go back and change it and refine it as I see fit. And in fact, I even have one here that was saved already. Let's go ahead and hide that one. And here's another version where I did a little extra work going in and cleaning it up and making it look good. But what you'll discover is that the masks are going to be a really important way for you to show and hide pixels that you want to work with. and to go back and refine it as you see fit.